Hey people, it is Tuesday, August the 1st. Time is 3:35 in the afternoon and it is currently 23 degrees Celsius. Feeling a bit warmer with the humidex. And I am in Rosedale, which is a very expensive neighborhood just on the northern edge of downtown. It's considered the city's old money neighborhood. And it was planned as a garden suburb in the late 19th and early 20th century. And it's a very lovely area with many huge mansions on winding streets. But not too far away is another part of Toronto that I'm going to be walking to from here, which is home of the largest tent encampment in the city. So two extremes, a relatively short distance from one another, and I'll be walking that distance in this video. So we'll get a look at some of the awesome homes here in Rosedale to start things off. As you can see, it's a very lush area with abundant greenery. And it's home to many well-known celebrities and business tycoons. Looks like this house is undergoing a fumigation or something. Not exactly sure what's going on there. And some of the homes do have a bit of an old English look to them, being as it was planned as an English-style garden suburb, as I mentioned. And speaking of celebrities, I believe this house here is the home of Geddy Lee of Rush, the legendary Canadian progressive rock band. And Geddy just recently celebrated his 70th birthday, so happy belated birthday to Geddy Lee. And some more of the ginormous homes. And you can see how close we are to some downtown skyscrapers looming in the background. When Rosedale was originally planned, it was sort of on the edge of the built-up area of Toronto. But of course, over time, the city grew all around it. So it's kind of unique now to have an area like this, basically in the heart of the city, that has been preserved over the last 100+ years and maintained its status the entire time. Another awesome home here. And you can see the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Or not the Four Seasons, I should say. The Ritz-Carlton is further downtown. Another fancy hotel. And the Four Seasons is in the Yorkville neighborhood, which is another very wealthy part of the city, although a much more densely built up big city looking neighborhood, not like Rosedale at all, but they are neighbors. You can see some of the towers in Yorkville. And yes, Rosedale does have some apartment buildings, though. It's not all mansions. And it also has some pretty frequent bus service along some of the streets. So it is integrated into the city, despite being sort of isolated from it in some ways. we'll see how quickly one can go from an area like this to a polar opposite, which coincidentally is also very close to where I live. I live literally just a minute away from the Allen Gardens encampment. So this walk will not only be from one of the richest areas in the city to one of the poorest, it'll be from Geddy Lee's mansion to the Ken Continuum's tiny rent-controlled bachelor apartment. There's another apartment building. And there are a lot of other examples such as this in Toronto of wealth literally right beside poverty. It's a very nicely manicured soccer field over here, with an awesome view of some of the buildings in the Bloor and Sherbourne area. That's looking towards St. Jamestown, which is another very poor part of the city. Behind those nice condo towers, that is. I think that's another example right there. Those very expensive residential towers are across the street from some low-rent apartment blocks. I don't like to use the word ghetto, but by Toronto standards, St. Jamestown could be seen as leaning in that direction. There's Rosedale Valley Road. This is a very scenic road that follows along the Rosedale Valley, kind of wrapping around the edge of downtown. In some stretches you'd never know that you were literally in the middle of a big city. And I have done a video walking along the length of Rosedale Valley Road before. You can see what I mean in that video. But I've never recorded along this stretch before. This is a first for the channel. Interesting apartment building here. Now, this is Park Road. We're currently walking south along. And I've never ventured along that block either. I might have to save that for a future video, although it is a dead end. It looks kind of interesting and charming. Here's where Church Street wraps around and meets up with Yonge Street. We're going to head to Bloor Street. And looking back towards the Yorkville neighborhood again. Here is Bloor Street East.
My favorite was.
Yeah, it's getting pretty busy. Guess we're at the beginning of rush hour. So we're walking along the northern boundary of downtown, which is most often regarded as Bloor Street. I'm going to head south on Church here for a little ways. We'll eventually make our way over to Jarvis, and then it'll be a straight shot down Jarvis to the Allen Gardens. And I'm walking on the sunny side of the street. I usually prefer the shady side. Yeah, we have some shade here. And as you can see, new towers are rising all around the area. Most of these are extremely pricey if you're going to be purchasing or renting. I think a small one-bedroom condo of about 500,000 or 500 square feet in that new tower probably set you back about $750,000 if you're buying, and probably $2,500 a month or more if you're renting. So we're just coming into the Church Wellesley Village, but I'm going to head east along Isabella Street over to Jarvis. I have done other walks through the village though, if you're curious about that. And some of these older apartment buildings, such as here, went up in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, can have some affordable units compared to the more recent builds. They tend to be larger units, more solidly constructed as well. And these older buildings are also rent controlled. I live in a building such as these, and I do have very inexpensive rent since I've been living there for going on 13 years now with rent control. And these older pre-war apartment buildings, such as here, these more low-rise or walk-up buildings, I think sometimes rents in those buildings are more expensive than in these tower block type buildings that were built decades later. It's almost like you're paying a premium for the charm of living in an older pre-war apartment building. But they're often plagued by some issues due to their age. All right, so here's Jarvis Street. I hear somebody's budgie up on a balcony, chattering away. So we'll walk south down to Carlton. And then we'll be right on the corner of Allen Gardens. As I walk through Allen Gardens, I'll probably try to conceal my camera a little bit. Some people don't take too kindly to people recording or taking photographs in the park, even though it is a public park in downtown Toronto. So I'll probably hold the camera a bit lower. This building here has a very bad reputation. It's one of those old 1960s era tower blocks, slabs, if you will. Commie block is another nickname. And I've heard all kinds of horror stories about what goes on in that building. I'm not sure if the rents are a little cheaper because of that. Crossing Wellesley Street. This Jarvis Collegiate across the street. Rather a large, imposing high school. I think it has that classic inner city high school look that you see in a lot of movies. And I think it has been used for some film shoots. Maitland Street. One-bedroom units available in these old buildings. These are one of my favorite buildings along Jarvis Street, actually. .412 Jarvis. And I heard that rents were cheap in these buildings here. I'm not sure if that's still the case. And we're almost at Carlton. Some lovely old townhomes here. The ivy seems to have died though. This used to be covered with nice green ivy at this time of year. Looks like it's all dried up. I'm not sure what you'd pay to live in these sorts of buildings. And here is Carlton Street. Beautiful mural. That used to be a hotel. Now it's a student residence. here's Allen Gardens. This side of the park, closer to Jarvis, doesn't have any tents, but just on the other side, there are dozens of them. Of course, the number fluctuates, but I think at times there's up to as many as 75 tents. You could say between 50 to 75, depending on the week. There's a nice dog park here, but I've noticed since the tent encampment has grown that it's not used nearly as much as it used to be. This used to always be busy. Now sometimes I don't see a single person making use of it. Not sure if that's just a coincidence or it's unrelated. It's just an observation. There are a few people in it though. Alright, I'm gonna hold my camera a bit lower to make it a little less conspicuous here. I'll go over to the walkway that crosses diagonally through the park. Sherbourne and Carlton. I think some of these people have been here for months, others are new arrivals.
No shit out of here. Get my shit back right now. Fuck off, man. Out the way. I'll get serious with you right now, too. Fuck off, man. Shut up. Fuck my shit back right now.
So we're coming to the Gerard Street side here. Some of them are very neat and tidy, others are just sort of like a collection of stuff sort of strung all around. Here we are at Gerard Street. And my street is literally just one block to the east. So I'm practically home right now, as I mentioned. So that was it. We walked from the wealthiest neighborhood in downtown to probably the poorest location downtown right now at the Allen Gardens Encampment. From a famous rock star's house to a very not famous YouTuber's street. So I hope you enjoyed the walk. Kind of a tale of two cities. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you won't miss any of my videos. If you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description where you can do so via PayPal, as well as via my merch store. And there's also a super thanks button right down below if you'd like to support the channel that way. And you can find me on Instagram also under K Continuum. So thanks for watching. And be sure to keep checking back, because, as always, I will continue.